Commencing 10 seconds. Countdown. Yeah.
Whoa, enough of that crap. I don't know who that guy is. Anyway, welcome to the Crypto Rocker channel. Real excited about what's happening in these markets right now. I just wanted to get on and make another video and talk about kind of where we are right now and where we've been. I thought about showing the full 12-year chart, but basically if you go back to the 2017 bull market and you go back to the 2013 crypto Bitcoin bull market, it's basically going to show you pretty much the same thing of what I can show you on this chart right here. And this chart was sent to me by someone who basically set this up to sort of give us an idea of where we are right now and where we're headed when it comes to Bitcoin. Now, this is specific to Bitcoin, this chart right here. But if you know anything about the crypto market, all of the crypto market follows Bitcoin. Think of Bitcoin as, think of the crypto market as a great big train, and Bitcoin is the lead engine and it's pulling the rest of the cars along with it. Okay. So as you can see, I've got my Bitcoin shirt on here today. The market is doing awesome. Bitcoin is sitting at like $62,000 right now, which basically it's going to make me happy. I am fully planning on making my fortune in crypto. Okay. I'll just be honest about that. Okay. So let's just jump right into this chart here. Before we come to where we are right now, which is right here, I want to go all the way back to over here, which is the 2018, 2019. We were making normal run-ups, and then we hit a wall here, the resistance level, probably at the 618 Fibonacci level, which is usually where you get resistance. 618, 786, doesn't really matter. You can see there was a rejection here. Then there's a downward sort of cycle. And this whole chart here, this spans 4 or 5 years. So understand that a little bit of price action like this represents anywhere from 6 months to a year worth of price action going on, okay? And you can see that there's in this downtrend. And then if you remember, do you see this great big huge red candle right there? That is the COVID crash, okay? That's when COVID hit. The news came out that COVID hit and Bitcoin and the whole crypto market just took a nosedive all the way down to here. And the bears were coming out of the woodwork at that time, the naysayers. They were coming out and saying, that's it. Bitcoin is finished. This whole thing is over. It's going to zero. Well, smart people like myself and other people were buying around in this range right here. And that is exactly where I got in, right around somewhere in here. Okay. Well under the fair value of where it was because the COVID really did push all the markets down big time. If you remember back in those days, if you were in the stock market, even if you had a 401k, you would have definitely noticed a huge downward spiral when that COVID crash hit. That was a black swan event. That was sort of like if you look ahead to right here, you see this great big red candle. That's the final capitulation. It probably wouldn't have come down. That is when Sam Bankman-Fried struck. That was the collapse of Sam Bankman-Fried and his fraudulent exchange that he had. Okay, so these things do happen. They have happened in the market before. So, okay, anyway, back to here. Here's the COVID crash. Then we enter into this blue box right here. Okay, this blue box coincides with this blue box right here, which is where we are right now. This is called the pre-halving rally, okay? Because this blue line right here, this represents the halving that happened in April of the year 2020. So in the few months after the COVID crash and before the April 2020 halving, you enter into this period of very bullish action called the pre-halving rally, and you just get this massive uptick right back up to where it was actually supposed to be. If COVID had never happened, most likely Bitcoin would have continued to trade sideways, maybe a little bit of a pullback, maybe even some moving upwards, but you wouldn't have had this big, huge crash right here. Okay. So That was something specific to that time period and what was going on there. Anyway, you can see in the pre-halving rally, you have the market moving up, then the halving takes place. The halving is usually, I'll just admit it, it's a sell the news event. If you've ever traded in the stock market or in the crypto market, you've heard the rumor, buy the rumor, sell the news. In stocks, a lot of times you'll have a product launch that's going to happen with a stock, or you'll have a partnership or an acquisition or a leverage buyout or something that's getting ready to happen, maybe a month or two down the road. Everybody will start talking about this. The rumor mill will start churning, and people will start buying in, right? Then about 24 to 48 hours before the actual event drops, smart money will start taking profits at that point, even before the thing happens. Dumb money will be buying at that period, at that time, thinking that it's the event itself will cause the market to skyrocket, not realizing how these things work. They'll be buying the top, and then they'll be totally shocked when on the day that the thing happens, the day that the product launches, or the day that the event, whatever it is, actually takes place, there's a huge crash. And they can't figure out why this is happening. It's happening because smart money bought way back here, and then they're riding the market up to the time of the event happening, and then they're selling and getting out like right before it happens. This happens time and time again in these markets. As a matter of fact, I would even go so far as to say that that is the scenario that plays out 80 to 90% of the time in these markets. Okay. And you even saw it recently if you were paying attention to the Bitcoin ETF launch. There was this huge buildup, and then and it built up, I think, to $48,000. And then the day the thing launched, the ETF, Bitcoin crashed from 48K back down to 38,000. It did it like a 20% dip. Okay. So back to where we are right now. We're right here. Well, here on this side, but back here, back 4 years ago, you're coming into the pre-market rally. The halving happens. It's a sell the news event. So you see there's a couple of months. It shows it in red but you see there's a pullback right here. And then the market takes off again right here, and then there's another little pullback. But then about 2 to 3 months after the halving is when the full price effect of the halving takes place. Now, I don't know how many people are familiar with what the halving is. The Bitcoin halving is when the hash rate gets cut in half for how much the miners can earn. Right now, it's at 900. It's getting ready to be cut in half to 450. Now, this has been baked in. When Satoshi created Bitcoin, he created it like this. Every 4 years, there's this halving event which cuts in half the amount that the miners can earn. Well, if Bitcoin's price doesn't go up, if it stays the same, that's going to put all the miners out of business. Well, this thing was designed to be mined for the next 150 years. So basically, it's almost programmed in. It's almost an absolute certainty that the price of Bitcoin is going to go up past all-time highs and beyond. And that's one of the things that really makes Bitcoin great for the world of finance and investing and the money, because it's a hard asset. It can't be manipulated, it can't be inflated, but there's this guarantee of a maturation in value over the years to come. It's almost guaranteed that it's going to increase in value. It's been doing nothing but increasing in value for the past 10 to 12 years. So the question becomes, can we expect the same thing to happen in the upcoming cycles? Because if you look, here's the halving, here's your 2 months of consolidation, and then boom, huge, massive upside, this huge parabolic move in Bitcoin and the entire crypto market. Bitcoin goes all the way up to $69,000. Um, and if you go back to 2017, it did the same exact thing. You had a pre-halving rally, you had a sell the news event, a couple of months of bearish consolidation, and then a great big massive parabolic move. Okay. Then at the end of that parabolic move, when it hits its all-time highs of $69,000, which was the top, and that was in late 2021, I think, coming into 2022, then begins the bear market. And this represents several years of downward spiral action here. Very bearish. People who are shorting the market are making a lot of money in this period. People who are bullish are losing money. People who are holding, which I was holding my Bitcoin all through this. I watched my Bitcoin go from its highs of, $69,000 all the way back down. It would have only come to about 20, but in fact, it came all the way down to 15,000 because of Sam Bankman-Fried. I'm so happy that that scumbag is going to prison. It's next month is his sentencing. It's going to be like Christmas. I'm going to throw a party. I'm going to order up some pizza, and we're going to watch the sentencing. I guess the maximum that Sam can get is like 110 years in prison. I'll settle for 70, 80 years. That'll be fine. 70, 80 years is enough, as long as he goes away for a long time. So anyway, very happy about that. Anyway, as you can see here, um, about the time that we get through 2022, 2022 was a very bad year for crypto. We come into 2023, and about halfway through 23, we start seeing upward momentum in Bitcoin again. And we go through this entire, I don't know if you remember the chart I showed you about the psychology of a market cycle. And that only has to do with people who trade by their emotions, people who trade according to technical analysis and trade with their rational thought instead of their emotions. That doesn't apply to them. This applies to the masses of people who trade according to emotion, who basically wait till their broker says, yes, this move is confirmed, we're bullish, and then they come in with like 100x leverage and buy in and then let it go up a little bit, and then they sell. Of course, maybe after they hire some YouTubers to get on and start pumping the market even further up so that they can sell and get out, and then they end up selling the top. But anyway, we get this starting in around 2023. All of 2023, we get very bullish action coming in, and all the way up to where we are right now. From this low of $15,000, which is over a year ago, we have gone from there all the way up to where we are today at $60,000. That is an unbelievable bullish scenario. Well, that brings us to where we are right now, and that is right here. We are just entering in to this blue box. Remember the blue box from back here? This is called the pre-halving rally. We are right now exactly 2 months away from the Bitcoin halving, which is scheduled to happen sometime in April. Nobody knows right now exactly when it's going to happen. And remember, there isn't some CEO of Bitcoin who's deciding when this happens. This has to do with the blockchain. When a certain amount of blocks have been produced, it triggers the halving. Okay. This is all programmed into Bitcoin. Okay. So we're entering into this pre halving rally right now. Bitcoin is probably going to remain bullish or possibly even move up or maybe move sideways. We could even see a little bit of a pullback. It's pumped up so much. There's really no way to know exactly what's going to happen. Then we get probably a sell the news event, which there will probably be some kind of a pullback at some point. Although a lot of people are saying that things are very different now because of the fact that BlackRock and some of these other big, huge hedge funds worth trillions upon trillions of dollars. And if you've been paying attention, you know that they have been buying Bitcoin like mad for the past month. Ever since the approval of the ETF, they have been buying Bitcoin to the tune of, I don't know, $500 million worth per day. They've been buying 10 times the amount of Bitcoin that's being produced by the miners. And there's even word that some of the miners are not even selling right now. They're holding because they understand that much, much higher prices are going to be coming in. So even they are buying Bitcoin. So if you got BlackRock and all them buying Bitcoin, you got the miners buying Bitcoin. Retail hasn't even gotten in yet. When they start buying Bitcoin, the supply of Bitcoin on exchanges is beginning to dry up. Excuse me, let me get a little coffee here. Oh, that's good. I love 8 o'clock coffee. You're going to get a supply and a demand shock. And I found out recently, I don't know how many of you know this, Bitcoin is one of a kind in that you cannot produce more of it when the price goes up. It's kind of like Warren Buffett's, Berkshire Hathaway. I'm sure a lot of people that work for him tried to get him to do a stock split as the price of Berkshire Hathaway went up, and he said no. He said no, we're going to keep it exactly the way that it is. And now one share of Berkshire is worth like $600,000. But what he did to placate people was he came out with Berkshire B, which is a much more affordable for smaller investors. Well, that can't happen with Bitcoin, okay? But the great thing about Bitcoin is you don't have to buy a whole Bitcoin. You can buy a little piece of a Bitcoin because Bitcoin is divided into 100 million pieces called Satoshi. Every single Bitcoin basically has 100 million pennies in it, okay, called Satoshis. Okay, anyway, back to where we are now. We come through the pre-market rally. Then you're going to get a couple of months of consolidation before the price action actually catches up to the supply and the demand, and the new basically hash rate of the miners is priced in and begins to take its effect here. And you can see a little side of it right here, but what you have here is this big green box again right here. And if what happened in 2013 and 2017 and 2020 happens again, and it looks like everything is not only on track, but it looks like this is going to be the biggest, most gargantuan cycle of all, then you're going to have this huge, massive parabolic run up in the entire crypto market after the halving and after this few months of consolidation. And like I said, there's no real way to determine exactly how it's going to happen, how much is going to come in. There's predictions that anywhere from $2 to $8 trillion. $2 trillion coming into the crypto space is pretty much a guarantee. $8 trillion is like the most bullish case. But when you've got these massive companies out there like BlackRock and Fidelity and ARK Invest and all these other companies, and they're trading Bitcoin ETF now on Wall Street. Wall Street is now in the game. And these are the people who are playing with trillions, trillions of dollars with a T. Okay. And this is one thing that I like to point out when I'm talking to some friends of mine. I got a buddy in Texas that we're discussing these markets all the time. We talk for hours every single day about what's going on in these markets, and we're planning, choosing which altcoins that we want to buy, the ones that have a chance to 20, 30, 50x in these markets coming up here. And a bunch of them are gonna. Okay, if Bitcoin is going to 200K, you can bet that some of these altcoins are going to do crazy plays, 20x to 50x. Some could even 100x. Filecoin, 100x last bull market. It went from $2 up to like $200. Solana did the same thing. Okay, there's crazy money to be made in these markets right here. Okay, and it looks like it's priced in. It looks like it's going to happen. Okay, barring some crazy event that causes a massive deviation in everything, if everything stays on track, this is going to happen. Everybody's expecting it to happen. And it becomes like a self-fulfilling prophecy. So many people are out there thinking, man, this is about to happen. I better get my money in so that I can profit from this. The very act of people then putting their money in is going to cause it to happen. So what an awesome time to be involved in this market. I'm so excited. I mean, I'm just loving life. You know what I mean? I'm really having a great time with this. So basically, we're going to be looking for this kind of play right here later on in this year. This represents over the course of the next 12 to 18 months. Okay. But some things are very different right now. Like right now, we're seeing that things are moving up, and the whole market looks far more bullish than it ever did back in this time. As you can see back here, we're coming in about down here, coming up, moving up into this. Right now, we've moved up to the top of this channel. We've moved past the 618 already. The 618 is a Fibonacci level. We've never broken through the 618 before the halving in all the years past. That's never happened. Okay. And just, I haven't checked actually Bitcoin in a little while. Let me check and see where exactly it is at right now. It's now 12:48 in the afternoon. We're at $61,231. Okay. And it looks like it's had a little bit of a pullback. It looks like it came up to like 63 or 64 and then is now having a little bit of a pullback, which you would expect. Okay. Pullbacks are fine. Um, anyway, that's where we are. And the one last thing I wanted to say before I hang up here is that a lot of people are thinking in terms of everything that's happened in the past 4 to 8 to 12 years, and they're sort of predicting everything based upon that. But things really are different now because of the fact that you've got Wall Street involved and you've got people involved that are playing with trillions and trillions of dollars in these markets here. And when you've got that much money, a $50,000 Bitcoin, a $60,000 Bitcoin is chump change for them. Even $100,000 or a $200,000 Bitcoin is nothing. Think about how much money trillions of dollars is. If these people know what I know, and that Bitcoin in years to come will be worth millions of dollars per coin, and they're buying this to put it in the portfolios of all their customers, they themselves may not allow another big bear market. In other words, you may not get this kind of a big, huge 80% bear market crash like you had in times past. They might not want to see that happen. Okay. And I would use the gold ETF as the example of that. After gold's ETF was passed around 13 or 14 years ago, gold went on like an 8-year bull market that it never came back down. I mean, it just saw nothing but upwards action. And the market cap went from a $1 trillion market cap in gold up to where it's at today, like 10 or $12 trillion. And then once it got up to that level, it stayed there, which means when the big money gets involved, they're going to be ready to absorb all of the selling action that comes up. As this market moves up, a lot of people will be selling and taking profits. And I'm telling you, I have this belief that BlackRock and Fidelity and these big, huge, massive companies, these funds are just going to start buying up. It's like, yeah, you want to sell your Bitcoin at 200K? Fine, I'll buy it. You want to sell at 300K? I'll buy it. And they're just going to buy it all up because they know where it's going. It's going to millions of dollars. It's baked in, it's programmed into Bitcoin. The more I've looked at Bitcoin, the more I have realized why it was created, because they realized that the current money system that's controlled by the central bankers is absolutely corrupt. The whole system is this rotting superstructure that is rotten to the core, and it's going to collapse. And you got to have some kind of hard money asset to switch over to. So I see everything switching over to this very soon, which is going to give us back a just balance, which means we're in for some major changes here. But I, I'm telling everybody, this is probably your last chance, because this is the super cycle that's getting ready to happen in Bitcoin. So I wish everybody well out there, and I hope everybody is able to get in and profit from these markets. Right now, the market has not actually, it's pumped a lot, and Bitcoin is probably way beyond most people's ability to get one at this point. I would say, if I was to tell anybody who's wanting to get into these markets, I would go for things like Cardano, because Cardano is going to definitely be going to $3, $4, $5 per coin in the massive part of this bull market. The last bull market back here, Cardano had a $100 billion market cap, which means it like 10x from where it was. It went from around 10 billion to 100 billion. It was, I think it saw a high of like $3. I would say things like, here, I wrote some down here. There's one called Internet Computer Protocol, which I'm in heavy on. It's great. There's one called Render. There's one called Filecoin. There's some other ones called some cheaper ones. Even Dogecoin. I would say get in on Dogecoin. Dogecoin is going to profit massively. Once this bull market starts, Elon Musk will be out there tweeting and getting everybody hyped up, and Dogecoin will most likely go to $1. You can get into Dogecoin right now at like 8 or 9 cents.